That's the thing about video is that people know that they should do it, but there's a lot of hesitation of how to do it, and that's why people like you kind of inspire them to do it. Greetings, Red Tie community. It's the bald guy in the red tie, John Butler. And guess what?
What's up?
I have no hair on my head, and I wear a tie that is red. And I am the host of the Red Tie Community Show because I am the only host, and you are my only guest in the studio, Mr. Matt Ahlmann, the technology trainer extraordinaire, the person that makes social media a real thing for real estate agents, business owners, but more importantly for human beings that want to connect with other human beings.
I do what I can, and I appreciate you having me on your show, man. This is so cool to be here. I've been watching these segments that you're doing. Thanks, and I'll tell you, I don't follow exactly how many people you're getting fan mail from, but I'm sure it's a lot.
Literally bags and bags of mail from solicitors and junk mail, and the IRS wants money. It's like, that's the kind of fan mail. I didn't even know that they could collect on a show like this. This is crazy. They're like, hey, we saw your show. It looks like you're doing pretty good.
Yeah, we need some of that money. Yeah, like, yeah, it's pretty free. So what can I give you? Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Matt Ahlmann, if you don't recognize his face or the name, you should, because he's been in this game since the conception of social media, which was only about 10 years ago or 12
yeah,
years
pretty
ago,
much. And
like
it's kind of crazy too, because when I started, and this is a true story, by the way.
Okay. I like true stories.
When we got, I know you don't want a false one. Trust me, I have an imagination. So the true story. In 2004 is when I got in the business. There weren't social platforms, right? So you had to be very unique in the way you'd connect with. And that at that time, it was lending for me as an originator, and we'll get back to that later. But connecting with real estate agents after a couple of years, because Facebook didn't come out till what, 06?
06, 07?
I was really bedazzling things like hard on MySpace, dude. I wasn't playing around.
Tom was your number one friend, your top 8.
He was always there for me. You know, he like never left.
Poor Tom.
But when I started learning about MySpace, I didn't really have a vision of how you would utilize it for marketing, right? Or for business, just more so for kind of bantering, connecting with people. When Facebook came out, my today's partner, John Reyes, his wife, which is absolutely stunning and fabulous and all those other great things, she said, you need to check out Facebook. And I was like, what in the world is a Facebook? So I go to this link, I sign up, and I tell her I'll try it out. And I told her, I mean, if you ever run into her, she will tell you this, because she says, I told you so.
Yeah, of course.
I said, this is so boring. Facebook is so boring.
You can't paint your wall and bedazzle it.
You can't do all these really cool, unique things like copy and paste HTML, bro. Like, you know. And she just said, hey, look, it's a place where you can connect with people. And I know it's real basic, but that's why I like it, because it's not all cluttered. And I was like, nah, no way. So I stepped away from it for a while.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And
same exact story.
It's crazy, man. Crazy. And now look, I'm out here talking about Facebook targeted ads today. That's insane to me.
All that good stuff, man. And that's what I wanted to have you on the show for my own purposes, but also to inspire the world that watches this video, because you truly are a treasure chest of amazing ideas, inspiration. There was a few years back, Tyler and I, we went up and met with you, and you were gracious enough to have us for an hour and pick your brain and stuff like that. And it sounds so basic now, but back then it was kind of a life changer and a game changer for us. But we would basically post the YouTube links into Facebook, and we were getting like maybe 50 views or 60 views and stuff like that. You're like, no, you got to upload the original video file into Facebook and then make it go, kind of thing. And it went from couple dozen views to a couple hundred to a couple thousand views, kind of thing. So
part
just
of
little nuggets like that.
Dude, you're a sexy dude. That's the thing. But when you start studying the integration of technology and platforms and who's competing and what and where and why and all those things, and plus you read a lot. I try to read not so much where I'm influenced by other people's opinions, but where it expands and challenges the way that I think. And when I started seeing not many views on what I personally deemed, which is just an opinion, that means literally nothing, were great videos like yours. I'm like, well, why in the world is that not getting the proper traction, right? Interesting. Well, Facebook video. When Facebook came about, there was no Facebook video. There was definitely no live, right? We didn't have those capabilities. So when you look at it, it's like, oh, Facebook's trying to, in a sense, compete a little bit. And so what they're doing is they don't want to lose traction and give other people credit. And that's why when you see these social aggregators like Hootsuite, and they've done better with Hootsuite, and I think they have some kind of a deal with them. But prior to now, you post on Hootsuite because you want to be efficient, right? Post once, goes everywhere. You never see it. You never see it. If Twitter goes to Facebook, you never see it. I'm like, that's intriguing to me. They're doing something big. And now look at them. They're massive. I mean, Zucky was going against Congress the other day, right? It's like, it's crazy. So yeah, when you pay attention to those types of things, it doesn't mean YouTube doesn't have its purpose. It's just not as efficient, and you're working harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I kind of got into the video marketing, is because I believe in leverage of time, leverage of effort and stuff like that. And so when I got into it, you know, I started doing video. This is my 10th year in business, but I started doing video in 2009. And so that was kind of the head of the curve of real estate agents and stuff like that, because a lot of people either don't want to do video or didn't know how to do video. And so I just literally started with like a little pink camera, you know, a little Canon power shoot kind of camera. Okay. And then I would just walk around the, you know, these trashed houses, because that was during the whole REO days, right?
You didn't have the flip cam? Did you ever have the flip?
No, I didn't have the flip cam. I wasn't that fancy.
Yeah.
And so I would just start doing that, and then it started catching on. But I remember the first time I did video, like, you know, your hands get all sweaty, you get the little quiver in your voice kind of thing, your armpits are sweating, and because, you know, it's like when you see yourself on video for the first time, or you listen to your voice on voicemail, it's like, oh my God, I don't really sound like that, do I? You know,
but you do, right?
Yeah,
you look like that, and you sound like that. No, I mean, HD is a scary thing.
Yep.
Right? Even with these cameras on us right now, it's HD, and it takes time for you to get used to and comfortable to just be your personality, be in your own skin when you're in front of them. But I'm telling you, 2 stories real quick. When I first started video, I mean, I got on my very first video, and before I even started, there's something about looking at that little red button, and I know you have a philosophy to it too, and what you understand it to be, and it makes a lot of sense. So I want you to share that. But when that red light popped on at that time, because I don't see the red lights now, right? I don't know, man. I just started sweating out of my mind. It was crazy. Forget the armpits. It was like the whole body. It was coming down my face. They had to stop multiple times. Hives popping out of the back of my neck. And I thought, what has taken over your body, dude? Yeah. Like, you're one of the most confident dudes. You know, you're an Ahlmann. Do this. Yeah. Didn't happen, man. It was scary, right? And then later on, as I got more comfortable, and I gained a lot of weight at this point in my career, of
fat and successful.
Fat and successful. I don't know about the success part at this point.
Just fat.
We did get an agreement, a digital agreement contract for education on social media, right? For CAR, you know, and
that's
so
huge.
Yeah, it's huge, and I was huge on this HD camera. My first HD, and it was off the cuff, no script, no rehearsing. Talk about blogging for 30 minutes, and show it on the screen how to build a blog. So yeah, I was sweaty. But I mean, when I saw myself on playback, I'm like, dude, is that a blowfish? What is that guy doing right there, right? So, you know, yes, you're very self-conscious of yourself. We are our own worst critics. Yeah. But what I found, and what I continue to preach, is we, yourself, are your own worst critics. You post out there and watch what other people say about you, and they absolutely love it. They love when you get on video and crush it. Now it's a different time, and we'll get there, but back then it was so new, and people appreciated when you did a video more because they never would.
Yeah. Well, and I came at it with, I've kind of calmed down over the years, kind of matured and grew into it and whatnot, but I was very, I love comedy. I love being the funny guy and sarcastic and the smart ass. If you remember the logo that I used to rock, it was the thumbs up, avatar looking kind of guy. And so when I got into it, and of course I've been wearing the same thing for 10 years, is very personality driven. Because that's kind of my philosophy of marketing, is that people do business with people that they know, like, and trust.
Sure.
And so when you come at, like when I got into real estate, I looked at the real estate business and I said, okay, the average age of realtors are like 55 to 65 or whatever that demographic is.
Right.
At that time, this was 2009, 2010, the average age of the people that were buying homes were like in their 30s. And that's right where I was. And so I grew up in the generation of Family Guy, Simpsons, and stuff like that.
Me too.
And, you know, if you notice something, you know, Homer Simpson always has a white shirt and blue pants, right?
Yep.
So I created this image and then just ran with it. And I think that's well, why we're sitting here
But
today.
when he was drinking a Duff, he usually was in his underwears, right?
I do that too. I'm not wearing pants right now, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, don't tell him. Don't pan down. Don't pan
Don't
down.
pan down,
Yeah,
Tyler.
don't pan down. That's funny. But no, it's true. That's the reason why people will work with other people. And so I think when I started explaining it differently, I'm always trying to hone in on how am I delivering the message. Hey, I delivered this message the same way for 30 days. And some people were receptive, some people were not. Okay, so I can still say it that way, but how can I add to it? And I think recently I'm seeing a lot more people take action when I'm explaining that, you know, how often can you actually clone yourself, right? You can't ever, at least not now. It's probably coming soon, but in reality, you can't. But when you create a video that's worthy of being a representation of you when you're not there,
right,
working for you when you are actually sleeping, you know, I mean, what is that worth to you? What's the value behind that? Oh, I never thought of it like that. When I never thought of it like that, that's a win. I don't have to be high level, talk about coding and websites and all this other nonsense. I just have to be able to deliver a message. Dude, did you ever watch, I believe the gentleman's name is Bob Ross. He had like that curly kind of fro thing happening, and he used to train.
The painter?
Yeah,
of course.
He has a philosophy that I follow, and I teach a lot of people. It's Eli 5, ELI 5. Explain it like I'm 5. And he came up with that concept, and he followed it. And that's why so many people could paint the high level stuff he did. But what he did was he would stick to a couple of simple painting methods, simple colors, right? Go back and research it. It's crazy. And and people know who the heck Bob Ross is. There was a lot of crazy good painters. There still are. No one knows who they are.
Yeah. Well, you hit it right on the head because, and especially in your vein of what you're doing is your heart's desire is to inspire people to take that action to do that. And so if you were to come at them and say, all right, well, you need the high quality video production, you need this, you need scripts, No, you break it down to the most simple thing. And I've seen you in action when you do your trainings. You literally say, all right, everybody pull out their phone, stand up, put the camera towards you, hit record.
Right.
And that sounds so simple, but for a lot of people, that's literally like standing on the edge of an airplane and being 10,000 feet in the sky kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, but then you gently, lovingly push them out of the airplane.
Yeah.
And then they go flying, and all of a sudden what happens? They go, oh, this is amazing, right?
It's
and
not
then,
so hard.
Yeah. And then they start to go, okay, that wasn't so bad. They get over that fear, and they go, how can I make this a little bit better? How can I be more entertaining? How can I be having content that matters? And then the human imagination just takes over. So
yeah, and even with that exact example, that was word for word how I do it. Yeah. And I still do it to this day. That's where we're at in this industry. We still need to kind of gently grab someone by their shirt collar and pull them over the finish line. And I don't know a better way than to get them in a group watching other people do it. At the same time, where it's almost like monkey see, monkey do. Oh no, everyone's doing it, right? I'm at church. Everyone stands up for the song. Should I stand? Yep. I should.
Because otherwise, you guys sitting down.
Yeah, I'm the guy sitting down. So when you get them to take action that way and they see, maybe they don't continue to do it, but they did it that day, and that's a win for me. Because if there's one person in the audience that takes the action and consistently does it, that's all I need. Because eventually they'll get someone else to do it, and someone else will get them to do it. But I never offend anyone when I explain it like that. I had a buddy with me, right? We went out for some beers, and we're chatting. He's like, dude, you talk to these people like they're stupid. I said, no, I don't. I said, have you ever made a video? No. All right, check this out. Pull out your phone, right? I gave him the whole speech. He's like, really?
Wait a minute.
Really? I'm like, yeah. I said, because it makes you comfortable. That's all that it is. But yeah, it's fun, man.
And then going back to what you're just saying about leveraging yourself or duplicating yourself, at this point I have hundreds of videos that are out there. Some that are publicly listed on YouTube, and sometimes they're just the breadcrumbs are just out there. And I love it when a video I dropped 8 years ago, someone will be like, "Oh yeah, I saw this video, and I thought I should call you to sell my house," kind of thing. And it's like, right. I did that 8 years ago. You know what I mean? I haven't even thought of that video, but it's still out there. And I think there's also a special technique of being evergreen. So instead of saying the monthly statistic report for January 2007, it's like, well, that's kind of past already, right?
Yeah.
So you want to kind of create those universal, generalized that are still informational, but don't date it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even on an introduction video, you want to stand out, you want to be different, you want to tell your story, right? Like yours is super powerful.
Thanks,
your
man.
entire story is powerful. But when you actually deliver that on a video and you're on a stage in front of tons of other real estate, I mean, you don't forget those kind of things, and you need to leave an everlasting impression. The biggest mistake I see people do in an intro video, because they're so nervous that they have to have a script in front of them, right? Which I do recommend to have, but practice it at least, right? Is they will literally say, I've been in the business for 10 years. Okay, so next year, how long have you been in the business?
Yeah.
So you do need to pay attention to those small but important and powerful things when you're making a video. I think so. And I don't know what you do have public or not listed or things like that, but yeah, there's so many different strategies to video, but here's what we know bottom line. People respond to them.
Absolutely. And speaking of video,
Yeah.
we have a special video that Mr. Tyler the Tech is going to pull up, and it features a very handsome fella. No, not me, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about Matt Ahlmann. So now, remember, folks, this is Matt after doing it for 10 or 12 years in video, so don't feel overwhelmed or intimidated. But to show you how video can evolve, and just watch this video and then see how you feel about Matt after this video.
We all have a purpose, and my purpose is to represent possibilities. The kind of possibilities that can change lives, not out of an agenda, but because it's my passion and it's what fulfills me. To educate, empower, inspire, and ignite confidence in those who don't believe in themselves. To challenge others to find something deeper, far beyond what's simply on the surface. It's not about you, it's about what you can bring others. And when you understand that, you move, you conquer, and you embrace the journey ahead of you, taking those with you in perfect harmony. Now, some may question you along the way, but it won't matter because you know who you do it for. So remain steadfast and true, leading by example, in discipline, in focus, in faith, and in love. The vision has never been more complete nor more clear. The stage is set and this is our show. Nothing can stop what's coming. Do you believe it? Because I do. You want to be part of something real, something incredible, something that moves mountains? Well, this is your chance. By setting the highest standards and expectations for what this industry could be, to make a difference in ways you never thought you could, because I know I am, and we can do it together. With morals, integrity, culture, and family. These are my values, and I hope that they're yours, because we can make a change and leave a legacy that lives on forever. So let's do our job and commit to nothing short of greatness, because after all, isn't this what we signed up for? Here's to the next chapter. I'll see you on the other side.
Woo!
Like it?
Woo! Damn! Ladies and gentlemen, that's how you do video.
It is.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
Now, in 2 minutes,
Yeah.
you absolutely painted a picture. You stirred emotion. You let people know who you are. Let them kind of take that sneak peek, because everybody likes that little kind of fly on the wall kind of thing. Like,
Right.
oh, is that his wife? Oh, is that his daughter? Oh, is that his building? Oh, look at him. He's talking in front of a crowd like that. You literally captured your life in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That's powerful, man. That's a power video.
It's crazy, and I appreciate that. You know, there was a lot of thought. There's a lot of intent that goes into a video like that. I mean, you're talking about bottling up my entire career and making a transition. It was a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, so
Huge.
there were some main things that I wanted to capture in there. When you look at the transition, there's 3 stories, and some people watching, they may believe it's very powerful, and hopefully I made them cry. But I will tell you, there's 3 chapters in there. And the chapters are And this couldn't have happened if we didn't document. And this is why I preach how important it is to document. Like, we're documenting what's going on right now.
Right.
And so some people that are going to be watching this are like, well, what do you mean? How do I document? Well, there's a lot of ways to do that. But I had a camera guy follow me around. And if I could give anyone advice right now, I don't care if they're brand new to real estate or in our industry or any business, or they're veterans, get an intern that can follow you around. Let them show you their value and why this is so important. And then pay them, pay them to stick around, because it's an important thing to do. But chapter 1 from the documentation was all this, not all of them, but a lot of speaking events and videos I did for 8-9 years. And then you saw why I do what I do, right? And then here's where I'm going.
Yeah.
And so through that entire 2-minute story with the intent, we talk about being viral, that was an organic. I mean, and we paid for some additional stuff, but when I posted it with a specific caption to a specific audience on my personal Facebook page, I knew what I wanted to have happen. I wanted them to know how big of a deal it was. It's a big flipping deal. And so I even told my brother. He was the very first person to get to watch it before I even posted it. And dude had like teary eyes. And I was like, that's what I wanted. That's exactly what I wanted. I want you to feel not pain. It's not pain. It's excitement. It's everything, it's a big switch.
It stirs your soul is the feeling that you get from it, because, and that's what I really kind of want to have people get from that video is there was positioning in that. You're not coming at them as a salesperson, or you're not trying to hit them over the head with a call to action. It was literally exposing your soul and an invitation to come along for the ride kind of thing, with this reciprocal feeling of, I could do that too. Like the audience can do that too, kind of thing. So it's very inspirational, man.
Thank you,
man.
man.
Very well done.
I appreciate it. And I'll tell you, it's not me. It's not. It's the team behind me. It's the video editor.
Yep.
It's I mean, like, you have Tyler. He's a phenomenal dude.
Tyler
he's a
Tech's
flipping,
the best,
he's a rock star. Yeah. Right. And we could battle about who's the best, right? But he is. Tyler's a top shelf dude.
Yep.
So when you have someone like that on your team, number one, you don't let those people go.
Right.
And number two, you let them be more creative.
Yeah.
They were very creative. There's 2 things that I wanted out of that, right? I said, here's a storyboard, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. I'm going to write a script that's personal to me, right? And I'm going to word it, and you're going to be surprised by what I tell you about that script in a second, okay? And I said, I want to pick the music. I need specific music, and it was just by chance that I found through inspirational videos that I don't remember. I think it was Turkey, by the way. There's a video, I'll send it to you. It's a YouTube video that I'll send you. And this music was behind capturing everything Turkey has to offer, the location. It was
the country?
Yeah, unbelievable, dude. Unbelievable. And I was like touched. I wanted to go there. And if you look, and Tyler will definitely have a lot of appreciation for the editing in that video because it was so fine-tuned and smooth. And my editor did a lot of the similar things that I was looking for. But here's what's kind of crazy. That audio right there is right from my iPhone. Right from my iPhone. One night, I was practicing it, and I was listening with my AirPods in my ear to the song. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to practice being in the pocket.
The audio? You recorded the audio?
The audio I recorded with my iPhone, not even high quality audio. In fact, I went in and did the high quality audio, and I found wasn't in the right pocket at the right time. I was missing timing in certain instances, and it was too clear. It was a little tingy, if you will, too. This has a little bit more bass tones, and I love at least the iPhone. For me, I like the iPhone audio, and we stuck with that. Crazy. Did it right on my kitchen table.
And that's the best. Like, there's a balance. You want that structure, and like, here's the vision, here's the intent, here's the chapters and all that kind of stuff. But there's something to be said about that magical, spontaneous thing that just happens when you're creating something, whether that's a video or writing or music or whatever. It's like, just, you're in that moment, and it's, I believe it's a divine thing. It's all of that, and it just comes together, and it's magical, dude.
Yeah, it was magical for me, because when I listened back to it over the music, just from my phone, I was like, didn't even have any of the visuals yet. I was like, that's the one. I sent it to my partner, and he's like, dude, you already recorded it? I thought you're on the calendar for like Friday. I was like, no, dude, I did this right on my phone, and I'll be surprised if I can do it this good again.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, I have that whole thing memorized. I could recite that entire thing because I practice it that much. And that's what other people don't get too, is when you create videos, there's a time and place to deliver spontaneous content because you're prepared to know your stuff or maybe your thoughts. But if you really want to have an impact, you got to be clear on what you want to accomplish. And like we were talking off camera earlier, you know, becoming viral. That video had over 10,000 views, hundreds of shares organically, a lot of engagement, a lot of direct messages. I got text messages because of that video. Wow. Hey, did you and John break up? Are you okay? Right? Those. I got, hey, what's up this lending thing? Most people didn't even know I started in the business in lending, you know, in 2004. So
I didn't. I always thought you were just the social media guy.
Came out of nowhere. Poof, social guy. There he is. Yeah. So it created a lot of conversation, but I was very clear with understanding going viral. And it's all about understanding what you want your audience to feel. And in this case, I wanted them to feel emotion like they knew how important the entire career I had, and I'm changing. I'm transitioning to a new role now. That chapter is not completely done, but I accomplished what I felt I wanted to in that journey. Next journey is to work closely with other people that I can make successful now. And so it's just different, and they felt it, you know, and that's what I wanted. There's some videos I do want to stir up controversy, and I want to piss people off. There's other videos that I just want them to learn and feel empowered. But when you know what you want them to feel, then you have to deliver on that.
That's powerful.
And that's how you go viral.
The light bulb just went off over my head, man. That's, you know, and I think that's something that I've been missing in my own videos, is that I'll come up with videos and I'll do a lot of content. I mean, you know, I have hundreds of videos that are out in the world today. You know, some of them, it's always funny. The ones that you want to go viral don't, and then the ones that just kind of got thrown together end up going viral. And it's like, okay, you know,
Right.
So, you know, I've been doing this for almost 10 years now, and I'm still learning my craft. And I think that's the mark of a good artist, because I consider myself an artist just like you're an artist. You know, an artist is somebody that creates something, and it's a continually evolving thing. Like with musicians, you know, sometimes their 20-year-old selves make some great music, but then you hear someone when they're 60 years old and they've mastered their craft. You know, it's like,
or they fell off the cliff, right? It's like one-hit wonders and things like that. Yeah. But yeah, that's it. I mean, think about a singer, for example, right? Justin Bieber, right? He's going to go through crazy things as he becomes more famous, but forget that part. What about when he started? What about the voice change? Like, baby, he's like high-pitched boy. Now he's starting to become a man. Like, that's a massive transition. Huge. That could play with your mind. Yeah. So when you're looking at us, it's more of, you know, yeah, you're going to age. And if you are focused on your craft, I don't care if it's a real estate, NHD, lending, whatever it might be, you should be more prepared and in a position to deliver higher content and higher level information, but not if you're not paying attention to who your target is, not if you don't understand where the consumers respond to that type of information. And it's a simple question I ask all the time. People tell me, I've been in the business 10 years. Okay, have you been in the business 10 years or have you been in the business 1 year, 10 times? It's a big difference.
Yeah, that's huge.
Right?
Yeah.
You just kind of going through with the blinders on and you're no farther along than you were year one.
Yeah.
Right. So you really have to hone in on the craft. And for me, it's exciting to me to pay attention to what human behavior responds to, because then it goes back to sales. And we could talk about sales and understanding what people respond to and why and when and why you don't have to be a slick salesman. So when we talk about closing hard, you don't need to close hard. If you close up front, you don't have to close at the end hard, right? Well, how do you do that? Well, ask more questions. Get to know who the heck you're talking to. So that's why it's so exciting to me. And how I got in the business was I was an inside customer service and sales guy. And you don't see body language over the phone. You can hear it, but you don't see it. And that's pretty challenging. And so when John was starting to tell me, hey, I know you're doing well, dude, but like I'm doing this in lending, it was intriguing to me.
You're speaking of John Reyes, by the way.
Yeah, John Reyes is the man, dude. That guy, and he elevated my sales game to a whole other world and elevated my awareness. My awareness of, hey, do you understand why you didn't get that sale? Yeah, they went with the other guy, right? Natural, like deflection type thing. No, it's because of you weren't asking the right questions. Well, they said, John, that they don't want this type of a loan at the time. No. Did you ask them if they were okay with this loan because of the long-term and short-term goals that they have in mind? No. Oh, okay. That's why you lost the loan. You know, so when you start reverse engineering where you went wrong and just be humble about, hey, I'm not the best. I never probably ever will be, but I can be the best version of what I want to accomplish. Then self reflection and awareness. And now you can look in the mirror and say, yeah, dude, I messed up and like I need to get better. You know, he brought that to us.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
man.
it's cool.
So what do you see happening right now with the social networking and business, real estate? I mean, it's kind of an interesting time right now. Technology.
Yeah. Well, especially for our industry. And I think that the real estate community is going to have a rude awakening. And they're worried about the purple bricks, and they're worried about the home light and the front door or outhouse or whatever they're called. But you know what? Those are the small guys, to be honest. Look at Amazon, look at Facebook, look at Google, look at the big boys with real money that are going to get in our space. And what I think is going to happen due to technology, the way homes are going to be purchased is going to change. I still think they're going to need a human element. You need to guide them. But when I look at the real estate side of things, negotiations are important, covering your tail on contracts and things like that, what to ask for, when, walk them through the process. But it's not, for me, it's not as complicated as like lending and all the guidelines and the programs and things like that. So naturally, because of the lending transition of regulation, I think it's going to happen on the real estate side one way or another, whether someone comes in and regulates it or other companies just make it more of a volume-based model, lower commissions. That's what I personally have been, John and I have been talking about this for a long time, and we're starting to see it, you know. But in terms of social platforms and Zillow, and look, that ship sailed. The MLS gave away all your guys' information. Get over it. You know, so you either can take advantage of what is out there now, like the Zillows, and generate leads and compete against realtors on your own information, or you can cry about it, you know, or you can do Facebook targeted ads. I don't know how long that's going to last.
Because that space gets occupied pretty quick.
Well, look how often they change things. It's the funnest thing to me to watch. It's the most fun thing for me to watch. Facebook will take from the top left hand of the screen and take that button and put it on the right hand side of the screen. And everyone goes and freaks out. Oh my gosh. The world is ending. Facebook changed a button. No, they're changing a lot of things. But when I see it, I'm just like, man, we're so afraid of change when we should embrace it. You know, we should be thankful for a lot of these things that are happening to us. We just have to figure out how to get in line to be more efficient with it, right? Because it can be a hindrance. But targeted ads for me, at least for right now, and you have Google Ads still and AdWorks and the stalking type mentality of ads. But I love targeted ads because you literally have the ability to look at the behavior of what someone's doing off of Facebook. And then when they come back on, you can deliver what they want right where they're looking. That's crazy.
So use me as an example. How would I
would never use you.
Because I love you so much.
I love you so much.
As Ball Guy Red Tie,
yeah,
getting the message out there and stuff like that, what would be something that I should focus on in that regards?
Well, if you're just talking about awareness, then I think your story is going to be the most powerful, just like I think mine is, right? If I wanted to, in that video with my transition, recruit loan officers, right? Say that was my number one goal with that. I don't think it's going to be, hey, guys, join me because I have this and that and the other. There's a time and place to deliver that message, but it's, wow, that's an inspiring video. That guy's, who is this guy? Google search. Oh, it's Matt Ahlmann. He's a leader.
And they start coming into your atmosphere. Yeah.
And then like, what is he all about? Oh, he speaks art. I'm going to show up to an event. And this is exactly how it happened. I dropped in front of him. Who is this guy? Never heard of him in the lending industry. Maybe heard of him in marketing. I'm going to go check out. He has an event coming up. They did their research. Did oh wow, he's not too bad. He's okay. He's not John Butler, but he's okay. And so maybe they want to now conversate. Yeah. Well, that conversation leads up to a year later. Maybe then we're doing something. So for you, I mean, you already know you're a thought leader. You're a brand within the industry yourself, and especially in a targeted demographic area. If you wanted to, quite frankly, start your own thing, you could, because you have that kind of following. It depends what you want to accomplish. Do you just want awareness, or do you want to leverage the contacts that you have in the industry? Right. You already have the ones outside of the industry, and you'll grow that. But in the industry, what is it? Or do you want to generate more business, right? More opportunities, meaning have a home coming to market. We know there's not a lot of inventory. So I'm going to go ahead and put this out there on the market before I even put it on the MLS. And guess what? People are going to flock to that ad because they're the same people who are already looking in Zillow, Realtor.com, and all these other sites to buy in your city, your zip codes at that price point. But now you have first crack at it. Controlling your own destiny, not worrying about other agents competing with you. That to me is power. Yeah. That's massive power. And then to go and say, hey, potential seller, this is what I do to attract buyers for your home. Who else does that? Never seen it before, Mr. Ball Guy Red Tie. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a different scenario that you put yourself in, and it's a calculated win. We can't control the outcome if we get a sale or not, but we can definitely put ourselves in a favorable position. And when you leverage these technologies, I mean, it's hard for me to believe if you can sell a little bit that you can't win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what's so great about video marketing and all that kind of stuff, is that it gives you the ability to duplicate yourself, get the message out there, create the awareness.
Right.
And because at the end of the day, what this business is about is relationships. And people will do business with people that they know, like, and trust.
Yep.
And so how do you convey that message about yourself, or about your brand, about business, about the opportunities, or whatever it might be? And people could tell when you're trying to sell them and things like that. But,
Right.
you know, when you come at it with just a genuine place of, this is who I am kind of thing, you know, people, they'll make that decision. Okay, I like that, and I want to follow that or not. So
Yeah, and that's it. I think, you know, look at how it is in today's time. You have, let's rewind. Let's rewind 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You go to a car lot. Maybe you did some research on a car online. Maybe you didn't, right? You had the KB, right? You got Kelly Blue Book, and you're looking at all these things. But if you walk up to that car lot, you really are powerless. You didn't really have all the information that the sales guy over there, that little slick slide devil, right? And they come at you that way like vultures.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely different. It's now where I come to you with the information. I know what I want, and don't come at me with the slick sales stuff. Like, if we're test driving the car, it's not, hey, yeah, you love it? You love it? Cool, let's box it up. Let's knock it out. It's like, well, how does it feel? Mm-hmm. Simple. Because you already know they like it. That's why they're there. Yeah. And that's the difference, is when you talk about people who they like and they trust and they've done their research on you. I mean, that's why you have all this SEO power, right? There's reviews going on. There's all these different things that are happening, and they're pretty much making sure that they understand who they want to work with. Well, then how do you deliver that? And I think, yeah, you need to be a high-level top sales professional, but at the end of the day, you need to share more about yourself. If people don't know who you are, how the heck are they going to trust you before they meet you? And that's hard for a lot of people to do. They don't want to share.
It is, because it kind of goes back to the whole psychology of things, where we're talking about, I think, off camera, about public speaking. People have such a fear of that because, you know, in our DNA, deep in our souls somewhere, you know, if something was staring at you, it usually wanted to eat you. Right. And so people have that psychological fight or flight kind of thing. And so when you stand up in front of an audience, or if you're in front of a camera and you're like, oh my God, this is going to be seen by thousands of people or whatever, that panic will start to kick in or whatnot. But I think self-awareness is huge too, because you need to be aware of who you are. Because a lot of people, unfortunately, don't know who they are. Because I think society as a whole, whether it's through education or just consumerism or whatnot, you're constantly being bombarded with, this is how you should be, kind of thing.
Sure.
And so many people go down that path without ever kind of checking the brakes a little bit and be like, wait a minute, am I really that person? You know, it's like, I remember when I was going through my high school years and stuff like that, it was already kind of pre-planned. I was going to go to college, get my degree in business, and go that path.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I had my wake-up moment at 18, you know, as young men do. And I go, wait a minute, I don't know if I want to follow that pre-planned path by my parents. I want to go discover myself. So
yeah,
there's a part of that too.
No, it's true. And I mean, and for me, it was a lot different than most kids that I went to school with. And you're right. Like, you're conditioned to do certain things, and that's evolving and it's changing, because, you know, you're seeing a lot of people like me. My daughter's mother, she definitely wants my daughter to go to college, and I definitely want her to get an education, but I don't necessarily think that is what she has to or needs to do. Right. So whether she does or not, good for her. I'll support whatever she wants, but I'm definitely not going to close the door on her understanding what she can accomplish, what can she create, what can she be a part of, whatever that case may be as an entrepreneur. I was shown that through my father, right? He had his own side business and things like that, but he always was attached to a job as well. So it wasn't like a normal thing in our household. It was go to college, right? Mm-hmm. And look at me. I had two scholarships for soccer. I had Azusa Pacific and UC Riverside, and I turned them down because when I was 18, I was like, I can make $19 an hour. Minimum wage $5.75. It's a no-brainer, dude. I got to do it. So I went that path, and I gave up probably a lot of really unique learning experiences. Sure. But because I took that path, look where I'm at now today, you know, and it all aligns when you align with the right people and things like that. And for me, making $19 an hour, I thought was a lot. And then John's over here, my partner, John Reyes, he's over there making, you know, 27 grand a month. And I, like I told you earlier, I thought this dude was selling drugs. And I told him, dude, you're selling drugs. And long story short, John's like, look, you got to come work with me. You got to do this, Matt. You will crush it. And I was like, there's no way on God's green earth that I'm going to work 9 a.m. to 9 at night, right? Come to find out, when I got in the business, I'm doing more than that. And I still do in some cases. But, you know, he would say, I paid off my car. Well, I couldn't actually see that. I just bought this big screen. I can see the big screen, but I wasn't with you when you paid your supposed cash, right? So what he did to get me in the business, which was really crazy, is he said, look, meet me at this location, this ninja location. All right, I'll show up. He gave me the address. I printed out Google Maps because it didn't exist on the phone. And we're talking literally 2004. I show up. He's in front of a massive home. This was a $20,000 house, right? That's crazy. A big mansion house. And he's like, look, check this out. I want you to see, because you said you never see it. I'm going to write this check because I got my real estate agent here. It's 10% down. He writes a check right in front of me, signs the thing, and hands it to her. And I'm like, dude, why are you giving away all your money? He's like, dude, I have plenty more saved. And I'm just like, where do I sign up? Right?
Dang.
It was crazy to me at 23, 24 years old. This guy's making that kind of money. But he had been an entrepreneur since he was like, I don't know, 3 years old or something like that. I think he used to sell like bibs and baby bottles and things like that. But that's how he did it.
Yeah, so cool.
So we opened my eyes to a lot of new things that I never even knew were possible. You know, I don't know about you, but when I grew up, I would always look around the house and like, how do my parents acquire all this? How do they acquire that chair and this furniture and the chandelier and all this? This adds up. How did that happen? We're just booming a house and we got all this furniture. That's crazy. And until you get into the real world, you're like, oh, it is achievable. You do it over time and things like that. But the mentality for my household wasn't, you get $5 for an A. It was a standard. Like, that was it. There was no allowance or any of this crap these kids want nowadays. It was, here's your standards. If you don't hit it, I'll hit you, right? And that's how you're going to learn. And I'm being exaggerative. I got spankings, but nothing crazy. And so that's just how we achieved. But I didn't like the format of schooling. I didn't like it at all. I did the honors. I did the AP. I did all that stuff. But it wasn't something that I was really drawn to. And I think because it really was because they didn't have the right courses for me. You know what my favorite course was? Typing.
And you use that to this day, yeah.
I type like 80 something words a minute. It's insane. And I got laptop hands, by the way.
Yeah.
I use women's hand cream.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I get that too. When people shake my hand, they're like, oh, you don't do construction work. That's for sure. Like,
yeah,
no, I don't.
It's crazy,
Laptop
man.
hands, that's funny.
But now, I mean, because we were unable to have the ability to have business schooling when we were in high school and junior high, John and I give back. We go out to Riverside High School in the summer and we do a mini Shark Tank.
That's great, man.
Yeah, it's
that's
fun.
So cool.
It's so fun, man, because if you can impact anybody, that's always, like I tell everyone, even my little one, it's impacting other people, right? It's bigger than yourself. And she's like, all right, Dad. She doesn't quite get it yet. She's 10, but she will. She'll get it.
And I don't know how old you are, but I'm in my
37.
Okay, so yeah, I'm 36, so we're kind of in that same path there. I remember I was very ambitious as a young guy. Speaking of selling bibs and stuff like that, I was 4 years old renting out my G.I. Joes for $1 a day.
Dude, you're so smart because you got to keep them.
Exactly. I rented them, not sold them, because I wanted my G.I. Joe back, but I wanted to keep the $1
right.
kind of thing.
Smart.
So that's kind of what started my entrepreneurial career. But I remember being impacted by people that were in their 30s and got me onto that entrepreneurial path kind of thing. And I always wanted to be on stage one day and kind of share my story and make an impact on other people, pay it forward and all that kind of stuff. And I'm getting to that point now where people will come to me and they'll go, John, thank you so much for doing X, Y, Z. Because of you, I did this, this, and this kind of thing. And it's like, that's such a powerful moment. There's no monetary value to that. It's just knowing that you left this world a little better. That's huge. I love it.
Leave it better than you found it, and that includes people. And sometimes we overlook that, and I've gone through times in my life where I was the one that needed you to help me, right? Like we go through these different struggles in life. And so when you start gaining perspective, and for me, I think it was, again, so I was just on a panel for NAREP last week, and the biggest thing I told people to watch out for is who you surround yourself around. How do you filter people out? That's hard to figure out, man. I mean, you go to an interview, someone wants to work with you, you don't know what their agenda is. So what key things can you look for? And I was telling them the way I started looking at filtering them out was bringing up scenarios that weren't so direct, right? I'd bring up a scenario and see how they respond. Are they more about the problem itself, or are they looking for a solution? Like, that's a big one for me. If you're so focused on ranting and complaining about, oh yeah, John, the ball guy red tie wouldn't accept my offer, and oh my gosh, he didn't call me back, and his so well, what did you do to actually get a hold of him? For your client? Remember, you have a client, and John's busy. He has like 60 homes for sale right now, and so like, get in line. You know what I mean? If you're talking more about the problem than solution, it's an issue. Gratitude. Are they grateful just for what they have? We all want to strive for more. We have this crazy appetite where, you know, I know when I go to like Chinese food and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so full, until I see Baskin Robbins and then I'm still hungry. And so it's just, we have an appetite for life, whatever it is, and finances is a big one. So I look at that, gratitude. There's so many different things you can do to filter people out. But that was probably one of the biggest downfalls for me. Was, yes, you try to be too nice, you don't say no, want to help everybody, and now I'm a little different. Doesn't mean that I'm mean. It just means I understand my value and who I want in my circle, and my circle can expand a little bit. I'm okay with that if it's the right people over time, you know. And so
one thing I get from you is you're definitely playing the long game.
Oh yeah,
you're not concerned about a transaction at this moment kind of thing. It's about building that relationship for the long term kind of thing. Because being in our 30s, we have another whole lifetime to go, basically.
I would like to believe so. I mean, you know, unless something randomly happened to us, yeah, I think we take care of ourselves well enough that unless something really strange and odd happened, which things happen, we got a lot of time here, a lot of time. But that means, what are you gonna do with it? You know, are you going to impact people, or are you just going to be greedy, or are you going to be lazy? You know, and people get complacent really, really easy. And I think that's something that, at least in my household, that's what we preach. We're like, hey, even my wife, sometimes she has to smack me upside the head and say, hey, that's a little negative.
Speaking of household,
yeah.
Speaking of wife.
Yes. Yes, she is the boss. Yes, that's the answer.
Happy wife, happy life. But Tyler Tech, I scrolled your Facebook.
Yes.
And I want to show the world that when you are on top of the world
Yeah.
and successful, this is the kind of beauty that can come into your life. Check this out.
High-level model, dude. Yeah, she's beautiful. And you know what's crazy
Beautiful
is
daughter.
Thank you. She's huge, man. My daughter's 10, and thank you for picking a picture on my good side.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
I don't think you have a bad side, guy.
I appreciate you. That was actually in Pasadena. Yes, we're big Pats fans. If you're watching this and you want to cut me off now, just know that I said go Pats. That's the last thing you heard.
If anybody knows Matt Ahlmann on social media, you'll know during football season that he is absolutely fanatical.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that the family's all on the same team there and not sporting Raiders or something.
Thank goodness it's not the Raiders. That's how you know I'm a high-level sales professional, man. Like, they're wearing all the gear, right? They're wearing the gear. But
That's so cool.
I met my wife at a HomeSmart up in Valencia, the one random training out in the middle of nowhere, right? And so I go up there, and long story short on this one, did a whole 2-hour training, was leaving, said we should grab some lunch. Ultimately, I was already left, and I said, hey, I'm hungry. Are you free to go eat? And we went and ate at a local spot. And I said, I got 30 minutes. I got to beat traffic. Well, 30 minutes meant 3 hours, right? And then from there, I was telling her, I said, I really don't date in the industry because I don't. It's too small of a world. And not that made her quit eventually, but she ended up getting out of the business and going back to what she was doing prior, and then got into ultrasound sonography school. But yeah, man, it was crazy the way that happened, because I was definitely not looking, and neither was she.
And that's when it happens.
Yeah, it's sideswipe, boom, it just hit me.
Well, you guys are like that power couple, man. I
appreciate it.
You know, it's so cool to see that, and really, that's kind of the most important thing of this interview, is that we can go out and conquer the world and slay dragons, do all those things on the battlefield, but at the end of the day, it's about the family at home, and you, sir, are very blessed.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
And so that wraps up this episode of the Red Tie Community. And Matt, thank you so much for being a part of my community over the years, and I can't wait to see what's going to come in the years to come.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot coming, and I appreciate you having me on the show.
All right, man. And that's it for this episode of the Red Tie Community. And I am the red tie wearing, bald head sporting community show host, John Butler, the bald guy in the red tie, saying see you in escrow. Bye.